What happens in a situation where you have a foreign object left inside of you as a result of a surgical procedure? How much time does an adult have to bring a lawsuit for a foreign object that's left inside of you during the course of surgery? Anybody know? Again, wake up. It's okay. I don't mind. The answer is you have 1 year from the date of discovery of this foreign object within which to bring a lawsuit. Now, before you can answer whether or not that 1 year time period applies, we have to ask a different question to then get back to this question of how much time you have. And the question that you have to answer in your own mind is, and ask the client, was this thing that was left inside intended to remain inside of you, or was it something that was never intended to remain inside of you? Let me give you an example to illustrate exactly what I'm talking about. Let's say you have surgery, and now surgery goes well. 3 years later, you're having a problem. Let's say, hypothetical, let's say a lap pad, a surgical lap pad is left inside of you. Okay? In that instance, you would have, that was something that was never intended to remain inside of you, right? We can all understand that because these lap pads are designed to soak up blood and fluids during surgery. And that's not something that's designed to be left inside. So in that instance, you would have only 1 year from the date of discovery in which to file a lawsuit against the doctor or the hospital. Now, this gets a little more interesting. Let's take this example. Let's say gentleman goes for hernia repair surgery. During the course of surgery, everything goes well. The doctor is closing the patient up, and during the course of stitching the patient up, crack. The needle breaks off. The tip of the needle goes into the surgical area. The surgeon is searching for this needle tip. He can't find it. He's spending 10, 15, 20 minutes looking for it. He can't find it. For whatever reason, he decides not to take an x-ray. And, as a bit of foreshadowing, he decides not to tell the patient about it either. So you can imagine how good that is. Then he tells the nurses in the OR, listen, I don't think it's ever going to create a problem for the patient. It's a small piece of needle. Let's just leave it alone. Well, that foreshadowing will come back to haunt him because now, 3 years later, the patient develops significant back pain without any trauma, without any reason, goes to an orthopedist who takes an x-ray, who looks at the x-ray and says, you've got something sharp in your back that needs to come out. I think that's your problem. He said, did you have surgery recently? He said, no, I had a hernia repair 3 years ago. He said, well, I don't know what this is, but I think it's something really sharp that's causing a problem. In that instance, we have to ask the question, was this something that was intended to remain inside of him? The answer is no. This needle tip was not designed to remain inside of him as part of this hernia repair. So how much time does he have to file suit? 1 year. But now here's a monkey wrench that I'm going to throw in. We have to remember there's a phrase that we have to add to this. Or when he reasonably should have been expected to discover this. That's a very key phrase. And I'll tell you how that applies in a moment. Okay. Let's say, same scenario. Patient has hernia surgery. The needle tip is left in. He now goes to the orthopedist. The orthopedist takes the x-ray and says, you've got something in your back. You need surgery to get it out. And the patient says, you know what? I can't take time off of work. I'm going to try and live through this. I don't know what it is. I'll just try and get through the pain. And so he chooses not to have surgery at that time, and he tries to live with it. He waits 6 months, he waits a year, and he's living through this agonizing pain. Finally, after a year and a half, close to 2 years, he goes back to the orthopedist. He says, I can't take it anymore. You've got to take it out. Well, afterwards, the surgeon tells him, here's a needle tip. This is what was causing your problem. And he says, the only surgery I had was the hernia. And now he wants to bring a lawsuit against the surgeon. Can he do it? Well, the defense will have a great argument to say, when should he reasonably have been expected to know that he had a foreign object in his body? At the time that this x-ray was taken. The fact that he chose not to mitigate his damages is a separate issue. So when could he reasonably have been expected to know that there was a foreign object in his body? Back 2 years earlier, when the orthopedist took the x-ray. Is his case going to get thrown out? In all likelihood, yes. Because It was not done within the 1-year time period from discovering or when he reasonably should have been expected to discover this foreign object. Very important. How about this scenario? This is a very interesting one. A young couple, recently married. He's 27, she's 27. They want to have kids. They're trying for months and months. They can't get pregnant. So they decide to go for fertility testing. During the course of fertility testing, they learn that the wife is perfectly fine. It's the husband who's got the problem. What's the problem? The doctors realize that the tube that takes the sperm from the testicle and leads up out through the penis has been closed off. And he's asked, hey, did you ever have surgery before there? He said, now that I think about it, I did. I had surgery when I was a young boy. I had a condition known as testicular torsion, where the testicle twists upon itself. And the doctor was able to save the testicle, but in order to prevent this from happening again, he put a couple of stitches in to hold it up against the scrotum so this doesn't happen again. Now, what does he do? He decides to bring a lawsuit against that surgeon from years and years earlier, 20 years earlier. And so, we have to ask the question. You're asking in the back of your mind as you're listening to the story. You're saying, is his case timely? Does he have the 1 year from the date of discovering this in which to file a lawsuit? So we have to ask that key question. Was this something that was intended to remain inside, or is this something that was never intended to remain inside? In this gentleman's case, this was something that was intended to remain inside, which means, by the way, if he were an adult, how much time would he have to bring a lawsuit at that point? Come on, you know the answer now. 2.5 years from the date of the wrongdoing. But as a child, he was 7, 8 years old, he would have until the age of majority. So the question now is he timely? If he files within a year after discovering this problem, the answer is no. So you must always ask that question, was this something that was intended to remain in, or is this something that was never intended to remain in? Okay, are you beginning to get a sense of how you might be able to use this information as you're chatting with people during the course of your everyday career and meeting people every day? Because you will encounter people who tell you their tales of woe, and all of a sudden you begin to think, wait a second, you might have a valid basis for a case, but before I ask that open-ended question about tell me everything that happened, you want to know, is this case timely? If it's not timely, it doesn't matter what happened to them. It could be the most horrible, egregious thing. If it's not timely, you can't help them. We can't help them. So ask those questions first.